trickle in. So I wanted to give us a few more minutes to get going. Anyways, I am Sheridan. I help lead our growth team here at Ketch. So if you're joining us today, you're definitely in luck. It's a very special Get to Know Ketch edition for two reasons. The first and foremost, I am joined by Ketch co-founder and CTO, Vivek Bhatia. He is truly a wizard, probably the person you'll learn the most from today. So very, very, very excited to have him, and he'll chime in later when we're going through and giving a demo of Ketch. Second reason of excitement, we will be focusing on CPRA's requirements ahead of the quickly approaching deadline of January 1st, 2023. So to kick things off, we'll start with an overview of our company, the building blocks to building a programmatic privacy platform, and then we'll zero in on how to leverage those building blocks to achieve CPRA compliance and beyond. So the last thing that we'll get to is, of course, the demo and Q&A. If there are any questions that arise as we go, please put them in the chat. We will save time at the end. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So by way of introduction, Ketch is the leading trust by design platform for programmatic privacy and data stewardship. Our fundamentally unique business solution facilitates complete privacy compliance while empowering businesses to be responsible stewards of data. And at Ketch, we see privacy as an opportunity, one to build trust with consumers, compete in data-driven markets, and reduce the cost and complexity of privacy operations instead of grow it. Ketch was founded by a team of data management veterans who have a proven track record of success. Over the last 20 years, the executive team at Ketch, under the leadership of Vivek, of course, and others, have built visionary, comprehensive solutions for intricate problems, and certainly Ketch is no exception here. So since our inception, we have adopted incredible customers, Dish Network, IMAX, Sandal, SeatGeek. We received outstanding market recognition from analysts like Gartner and Forrester, and we've grown our team to a global presence spanning from San Francisco to Chicago to London. So one of the integral reasons for these achievements is that we offer a universal bridge across the privacy chasm. And what I mean by that, right now, businesses and consumers are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. Consumers want reform, and they're very much proving it. In fact, companies with transparent data practices are seeing a 23% increase in buyer intent. And adding on to this, 74% of people highly value data privacy, right alongside other ethical issues like sustainability and diversity and inclusion. So just as shoppers in the past proved that they would spend money with more ethical brands, be it Patagonia, or even invest in sustainability-focused mutual funds these days, they're showing the same level of priority for data privacy. Consumers are opting for companies who prove that they are responsible stewards of their data. And as these consumer beliefs solidify, businesses are kind of stuck treading water in an ocean with a changing tide. Businesses are dealing with new privacy regulations popping up all the time, sprawling data systems, multiple stakeholders, and this just makes it very difficult to meet consumers where they are. So in fact, CPRA is a perfect example, and obviously why we're here. Enforcement of CPRA begins in just 4 short months. The legal language, the requirements of the law are still in draft. So it's obviously tough out there. Businesses are desperate for a comprehensive privacy platform that solves for the short and long term. And what I mean by that, meets the operational requirements of today, does the things like handling opt-outs for CPRA, but also drives real value through responsibly sourced data and data utilization. And so that's exactly where Ketch comes into play. Our trust by design platform helps you build trust and grow with data. And our platform itself is a coordinated set of applications, APIs, and infrastructure that delivers responsive and scalable privacy compliance, enforces privacy choices everywhere, and offers data intelligence and business value. So in a single deployment, Ketch can mobilize always-on data discovery and privacy primitives to ensure compliance with every privacy regulation. We facilitate complete control over data, building trust with consumers by enforcing their privacy preferences downstream across the entire digital ecosystem. And we're also driving value by stewarding which data can be used for unique purposes, fueling innovation and top-line growth. So great news is that Ketch works everywhere. Doesn't matter where you operate, how you engage your consumers, meaning which channel or what data systems you leverage, Ketch delivers for you. And so this obviously takes us to the game that we're playing, right? You know, privacy laws, they aren't telling you to stop growing your business. And in the case of CPRA, it's just the regulators are saying, you know, hey, if you're going to make money selling data about people, you need to give those people the chance to opt out of it. It's their personal information on the line. They have a right to control it. So conceptually, I think most people on this line would agree, and therefore respecting privacy rights through real-time enforcement of those preferences should be easy. But unfortunately, we've met with many, more than I'd like to admit, companies using legacy technology who are struggling still to achieve this. And so for today, we'll use Sephora as a use case, but by no means is it to maliciously make an example of them. They're just the first to feel the wrath of CCPA, and there are plenty of others out here who are still trying to get a handle on things. So for those who are not familiar with Sephora, it's a French cosmetic brand with multiple thousands of stores around the world, and they just faced the first CCPA settlement. It's a $1.2 million settlement over violation of CCPA's do not sell provisions. And the California Attorney General said that Sephora failed to comply in 3 ways with the law. So first, they failed to disclose to consumers they're selling their personal information. Second, they failed to honor user requests to opt out of sale via user-enabled global privacy controls. And third, they did not cure these violations within the 30-day period allowed by the law. So at issue in the case was really Sephora's sharing of information with third-party advertising networks and analytics providers. This is obviously a very commonplace practice, especially for publishers. And for companies doing business in California and preparing for CPRA in just those 4 short months, this case marks a considerable uptake in risk. It really signals that the Attorney General's focus on online tracking and compliance with global opt-out, such as global privacy control, is something to look forward to. And overall, it really makes a statement in these 3 ways. So yeah, it does shine light on the interpretation of sale, which does include more than just an actual transaction for money. It includes sharing of personal information. It really bolsters compliance with global privacy control and universal opt-out. It is pretty much expected that companies respect this. And third, unfortunately, it does go after a multinational household brand headquartered in Europe, and EU regulators have gone after US-based companies. So it is a statement in that way. But the important thing is that the Attorney General is frankly watching, and he said it himself. In one of the latest press releases, he said that I hope today's settlement sends a strong message to businesses that are still failing to comply with California's consumer privacy law. My office is watching, and we will hold you accountable. There are no more excuses. So pretty bold, a little bit scary, but the important thing is that there's time to learn and that there are fixes to be made. And so what we can learn from it and how technology can fix it is what we're really focused on for the rest of this call. Now, in terms of the solve, and I read an IAPP blog a few days ago, and it gave these suggestions. So, pretty rudimentary things, frankly. Make sure you're aware of and document the presence of any third-party cookie pixels, SDKs, etc. If you sell data, include a do not sell my personal information link on the site. And the thing is, that's great, but it's cookie cutter. It's not enough. You can keep track of your third-party vendors and leverage service provider agreements with custom language all you want. As we saw with Sephora, if you're not actually enforcing preferences downstream programmatically in real time with technology, you are not fully doing your job. You need to be able not just to log and note someone's preference, you actually have to enforce it. And that is the challenge, and that is where Ketch can solve. So the way to enforce preferences automatically is with integrated programmatic technology. And at Ketch, we call this consent orchestration. It was our first capability that we brought to market, and we do it better than anyone else. So consent orchestration is the real-time enforcement of consent preferences. It includes the initial consent capture and the automated downstream propagation of consent choices across your internal and third-party systems. So Ketch connects via API to your systems to programmatically set privacy preferences and confirm they're consistently being met. But achieving this definitely requires deep capability in data management and control, which, as I noted, was our background. So for example, when your customer makes a privacy choice, let's say that they're opting out of targeted advertising, businesses are obliged to ensure downstream vendors, their systems cease data processing for that processing purpose. And Ketch does this without human intervention. So the second thing to note is that CMP should be able to instruct all web infrastructure, such as tags and cookies, that fire on the website and collect data for advertising purposes automatically. So in other words, if a business uses Google Analytics for targeted advertising and a data subject of that business opts out of the purpose of targeted advertising, you should be able to automatically control that tag at the web infrastructure level so that it no longer fires. This is especially important under CCPA to honor opt-outs. It's one of the things we saw in the Sephora case. And under GDPR, where the timing of data collection matters, it is also extremely important and one area where EU regulators are really cracking down. So the way that Ketch works with achieves this specifically with just a few simple clicks, zero coding required. Ketch's tag orchestration allows you to automate the process of tethering your tag to fire to your user's consent choices. And we call this permits. This gives you full control right in the UI of the Ketch app. And then after configuring purposes and deploying Ketch's experiences, permits are created for each end user. So based upon the state of a user's consent, you can control whether or not JavaScript is executed on your website. So Vivek will show you this in the demo that's to come. The last thing that I just want to note quickly is that we do believe that developers should not have to take the time to write code to ensure compliance happens. We have a comprehensive library with over 300 plus API integrations that support data subject identity verification, internal data stores, third-party data systems, and so much more. So, Ketch privacy rights workflows can be entirely automated end-to-end without any human involvement. And that's how you minimize risk. That's how you, most importantly, you respect the consent choices, the privacy choices of your data subjects. And as we saw, when you do so, buyer intent goes up, bottom line for your business improves. So great news, I get to stop talking and Vivek gets to hop on. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and switch over on the back end some presenter related things. And Vivek, I think that it should be yours when you're ready.
Okay, so you all should be seeing a Firefox browser window that is showing you a fictitious website called Axonic that we use to that we've created, Ketch has created to demo our various capabilities. And you'll see on the top in the browser bar some query parameters that I pass when I'm loading that site. and those query parameters are being passed because I always want the consent experience to show for California. Beneath all of this, underneath the covers over here, we've configured the Ketch system to deliver a consent experience to visitors to the Axonic website, which I will now show you. On the right over here, you'll see a lot of JavaScript, the JavaScript console, which will sometimes show errors or warnings from various JavaScript libraries that are deployed on the Axonic website. For the most part, you can ignore this. I will be referring to this part of the console momentarily in the demo. So I'm going to clear this out, and you can see I refreshed the page, and the privacy banner, so to speak, was displayed for California, and it has this link called "Do not sell my personal information." And as of now, in my browser, I'm intentionally using Firefox because I wanted to pick up on the CPRA demo specifically that Sheridan referred to, and the Sephora case in particular, which referred to GPC, which stands for Global Privacy Control. So in Firefox, you can go in and view your global privacy control settings. And right now, as you can see, both these settings are set to false, meaning that I have not enabled global privacy control on my browser over here. So because of that, when I click on this, all of my, per California law, all of these capabilities by default, when I visit, are marked as enabled. I accept that my data can be used for analytics, for marketing, email, for data sharing, and for targeted advertising. Now, of course, I can change all of this or reject all of them and hit submit, which will record my preferences. So this would be the equivalent of executing an opt-out or an explicit action to not telling Axonic to not sell my personal information. I want to introduce one more thing before going any further, which is this concept of marketing email. Sheridan mentioned in her narrative that the interpretation of data sales is left to the business. So for the purposes of this demo, we're going to treat email as an activity that triggers a data sale, and the email marketing system that Axonic uses for sending out email, managing offers, what have you, is Marketo. And underneath, again, prior to this, I had gone to Axonic and registered my interest to become part of their mailing list. So I show up in their Marketo system as a lead that can be marketed to. And as you can see from this screen over here, this is a Marketo screen. I am not unsubscribed, meaning that I am open to receiving whatever emails Axonic wants to send me. So now we'll go in over here, and I am going to not change any of these settings, but instead I'm going to go in and turn on global privacy control. So I'll turn all of these things to true. And now what I expect to see when I refresh the page, I expect to see different behavior. So I'm going to go and refresh the page, and Axonic loads. You see the same JavaScript warnings over here, and now when I go in and look at my privacy preferences again, you will see that only analytics has been left on. The other ones have been disabled, right? So what's happened over here is that the Ketch infrastructure that is running on Axonic has detected that for this browser, the privacy controls, global privacy control, was enabled. And therefore, these three activities that were to be treated as data sales have been turned off by default. So from the end user's perspective, Ketch, rather Axonic via Ketch, is honoring the user's choice to not have their data sold or used for any of these purposes. Now, what I just showed you was what happens in the browser, meaning that I have captured the user's intent to not sell that information. Now, I want to show you one more thing over here on the browser before I go on and show you what happens in Marketo. There are different types of regulations, or different types of frameworks, rather, not regulations, but different types of frameworks that exist for managing these privacy preferences. One of the more common ones that is used for advertising is the IAB's Transparent Consent Framework, or TCF. The way the TCF works for CCPA is that it sets what's called a privacy string, a US privacy string in the browser. And depending on the contents of that string, the partners that operate on the Axonic website are supposed to handle the consent accordingly. So here, this string was set appropriately based on the global privacy control setting, which the operative thing, this is a little bit of geekery over here, but the operative high order bit is this third character, which is Y, which is basically saying that the customer, the consumer, the visitor to the website has opted out of targeted advertising. And so Ketch sets that string again based on the global privacy control setting that it reads from the browser. The user didn't have to do anything. The Ketch's Axonic Ketch customer didn't have to do anything. Ketch just handles that by default. So far, what we've done is shown you what we mean by consent capture, as Sheridan talked about, by accurately interpreting the user's choice to not have their data sold. But that's not enough. The second thing that we need to do to pay off the commitment, our commitment to true consent management, we actually need to propagate this consent and orchestrate it in all of the different systems that are being treated by Axonic as engaging in data sales. As I said earlier, one of the systems is Marketo. So again, because I had set the global setting, if I go into my Marketo screen over here, look at my same contact, I refresh the page over here, you will see that the contact has automatically been unsubscribed from receiving any more email. So what just happened over here is, because Ketch saw the global privacy control setting being enabled, and because Axonic treats email marketing as a data sale, Ketch, through an API connection, as Sheridan had pointed out, Ketch automatically sent a signal to Marketo using their API to unsubscribe this contact, Vivek@ketch.com, from all emailing activity. And we made a quick note over here that the reason for this was Ketch privacy. So what we just saw now were two things. One, consent capture on the Axonic website that allowed us to capture the user's intent via the global privacy control signal, as is being shown over here, and then consent orchestration that propagates that user's choice into the Marketo email marketing system, which is treated by Axonic as a data sales activity. So this is true consent management, which includes both consent capture and consent orchestration. Just doing consent capture is not enough, because you're actually not fulfilling and honoring the user's choice to not have their information sold. I'll pause here, and we can take questions now. Sharon, do you want me to give you back control?
Yeah, I can do that. And Vivek, it does look like there's one question just about essentially identity
Yeah,
resolution.
perfect. Great question. One thing that I didn't mention in my talk track was that, remember earlier I had said I had registered myself as a lead in Marketo via Axonic, right? So at that time, when I was filling out a form on Axonic, I submitted my email address. At that point, Ketch mapped or recorded my email address as being mapped to the corresponding Munchkin cookie, which is the Marketo first party cookie that it sets on exonic.io. And Ketch maintained that connection between the Munchkin cookie and my email address. So when I go in and visit the website again with my global privacy control setting turned on, underneath the covers, what Ketch is doing is it's taking that Munchkin cookie, querying our identity graph to look up the email address for that Munchkin cookie, and then the signal that the API call that gets made into Marketo is made using my email address, vivek@ketch.com, and not the Munchkin cookie. We use our identity graph to look up, to traverse that identity lookup and send the right identity back into Marketo.
Perfect, thank you. So with 2 minutes left, and I don't see any further questions in the chat, just a few call outs and shouts to make. So we have a lot going on in terms of upcoming events, whether those are in-person, webinar, cocktail events, you name it. The 2 in-person events that I definitely want to highlight for those in attendance here today are IAPP PSR in Austin, Texas, October 12th through 14th. I think everyone is probably familiar with the IAPP organization. If you haven't been to PSR before, it's a blast. We attended last year, and we will be hosting some private events alongside the conference. So if you're there, give us a shout and we'll send you invites to some of the unique things that we're doing. And also later that month, October 19th through 20th, in New York City, we will be hosting our first ever Privacy Matters conference. So this conference is really important to our team here at Ketch. It's designed for B2B and B2C privacy practitioners who are looking to learn a little bit more at a high level, so thought leadership around data privacy and where the space is going, but also at a very tactical level, which kind of touches upon some of the things that we went through today's webinar. So if that is of interest to you, also reach back out and we can go ahead and send you the event registration details. So that's it. We're at the 8:30 PT mark. Thank you again, Vivek, for jumping on and showing a fantastic demo of consent orchestration, how to actually enforce privacy preferences. And we will see you all next time. Really appreciate it. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, everyone.